The moment you decide to take full responsibility for your life is the moment everything changes. Because here's the truth. As long as you keep blaming your past, your parents, your boss, or your circumstances, you'll stay stuck exactly where you are. Responsibility isn't about fault, it's about power. It's the quiet but firm declaration that says, I am in charge of my story. Think about it. How many people go through life pointing fingers at everyone except themselves? The economy is bad. No one supports me. I don't get lucky breaks. But here's the reality. Waiting for life to be fair is the fastest way to waste it. Life doesn't owe you anything, but it gives you everything when you start owning your choices. You see, the greatest freedom you will ever experience is knowing that you have the power to shape your destiny, not by changing the world around you, but by changing the world within you. When you take responsibility, you stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? That one question alone opens the door to growth, to creativity, to transformation. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've failed. That's okay. That's called being human. The key is not to hide behind excuses, but to use those mistakes as fuel. You can't rewrite your past, but you can always redesign your future. Every choice you make today is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. You don't need permission to start over. You don't need applause to begin. You just need the courage to say, this is my life, and I'm going to own it. Because when you do, something incredible happens. Your confidence returns, your energy rises, and your purpose becomes clear. So, stop waiting for someone to hand you the key. You already have it. The door to a better life opens the moment you take responsibility for where you stand and where you're going. Discipline is the invisible thread that ties dreams to reality. Everyone has goals, everyone has wishes, but very few are willing to do what it takes consistently. Discipline is not punishment. It's the greatest form of self-respect. It's saying, I value my future enough to control my present. The truth is, success doesn't show up overnight. It sneaks up through your daily habits. The way you spend your mornings, the choices you make when no one's watching, the things you say yes or no to, these are the tiny bricks that build your future. Most people underestimate the power of small actions done daily, but every great success story begins with simple routines, done with focus and faith. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Because feelings fade, but habits stay. It's easy to be motivated for a day, but discipline will keep you moving for years. That's why the successful don't chase motivation. They build systems. They understand that every act of discipline strengthens their character, sharpens their mind, and brings them closer to their goals. Think of it like this. A river cuts through rock not because it's strong, but because it's consistent. The same applies to life. You don't need to move mountains in a day. You just need to keep flowing, keep working, keep showing up. And yes, discipline will test you. There will be days when you want to give up, when nothing seems to move, when effort feels heavier than reward. But remember, those are the moments that separate the average from the exceptional. If you can stay disciplined when it's hard, you're already ahead of most. Because at the end of the day, discipline isn't about control. It's about freedom. The freedom to create the life you want. The freedom to rise above distractions. The freedom to look in the mirror and say, I kept my promise to myself. The people you spend your time with shape the person you become. It's impossible to live a positive, purpose-driven life surrounded by negative, small-minded energy. Your circle is like your environment. It either nourishes your growth or poisons your potential. Think about it. Every day you absorb words, attitudes, and beliefs from those around you. If you're constantly surrounded by people who complain, you'll start seeing life through the same gray lens. But when you surround yourself with those who challenge you, who push you, who remind you that you can, something inside you begins to rise. Your environment influences your expectations. If you spend time with people who dream big, you start dreaming bigger. If you walk with those who are disciplined, you start respecting discipline. If you sit with those who take action, you'll stop making excuses. That's not coincidence. That's human nature. But here's the truth most people avoid. Sometimes growth means outgrowing people, not because they're bad, but because they're comfortable where you're trying to move beyond. It's never easy to distance yourself from those you love, but protecting your mindset is not selfish. It's necessary. You can't plant seeds of success in soil that refuses to grow. You need voices that lift you higher, not ones that pull you down. Surround yourself with those who believe in your vision, even when it's blurry. Spend time with people who talk about goals, ideas, and possibilities, not gossip, fear, or failure, because eventually you will become the average of the conversations you keep. So be intentional. Audit your circle. Ask yourself, who adds to my fire and who drains my flame? The right circle will not only remind you of your potential, they'll hold you accountable to it. And when you find those people, protect that circle fiercely, because in the right company, your dreams stop feeling impossible and start feeling inevitable. The moment you stop learning, you stop living. Growth is not an option. It's a responsibility. Life will keep changing, and if you don't evolve with it, you'll get left behind, not because you're not capable, but because you stopped stretching your mind. Learning isn't just about books or degrees. It's about curiosity. It's about asking questions, seeking new perspectives, and staying humble enough to admit there's more to know. Every lesson, every mistake, every challenge is a classroom if you choose to see it that way. You see, your mind is the greatest asset you'll ever own. If you feed it daily, it will open doors you never imagined possible. But if you neglect it, it becomes your greatest limitation. The more you invest in your growth, the more life gives back to you in opportunities, confidence, and peace. Growth is not always comfortable. In fact, it often feels like breaking old beliefs, breaking routines, breaking comfort zones, but that's how transformation happens. Butterflies don't fly because they stay in the cocoon. They fly because they were willing to go through the struggle of change. So keep learning. Read a little every day. Listen to those who've walked the path before you. Turn your pain into wisdom, your failures into lessons, your doubts into curiosity. Because here's the truth. When you grow, everything around you grows. Your mindset changes. Your relationships change. Your results change. You stop living on repeat and start living on purpose. And the beautiful part? You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to keep learning. Growth is a lifelong journey, not a finish line. Each day gives you another chance to become wiser, stronger, and better than you were yesterday. There's a quiet strength that comes from being grateful, a kind of peace that can't be shaken by circumstances. Gratitude is not just about saying thank you when things go right. It's about learning to see the good even when life tests you. Because the truth is, life will not always go the way you planned. There will be moments when things fall apart, when doors close, when dreams feel delayed. But in those moments, gratitude becomes your anchor, the thing that keeps you from drifting into bitterness or despair. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your problems. It means choosing to see something meaningful in the middle of them. It's the ability to say, maybe this challenge isn't here to hurt me, but to teach me. Because sometimes what feels like a setback is actually setting you up for something far greater than you imagined. Perspective is everything. Two people can face the same storm. One sees destruction, the other sees strength. The difference is not in the situation, it's in how they choose to see it. Gratitude gives you that vision. It reminds you that even in your lowest moments, you still have something to hold on to, a lesson, a blessing, a breath. You see, we live in a world that constantly tells us we need more to be happy, more success, more money, more recognition. But happiness isn't built on more, it's built on enough. Gratitude turns what you have into enough. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. And that shift changes everything. When you start practicing gratitude daily, even in small ways, your entire mindset begins to transform. You start noticing the sunrise instead of the alarm clock. You start valuing the people who stayed instead of mourning the ones who left. You start realizing that life doesn't owe you perfection. It offers you opportunities. And here's something powerful. Grateful people don't live easier lives. They live better ones. Because gratitude builds resilience. It helps you rise after you fall, smile after you cry, and hope even when the odds seem against you. It reminds you that no moment is wasted if you learn from it, and no pain is meaningless if it shapes your strength. Gratitude is also the foundation of humility. It keeps your heart grounded even when success arrives. It whispers, remember where you started. Remember who helped you. Remember that none of this was promised. And that reminder keeps you kind, compassionate, and real in a world that often forgets those values. Start small. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each day. Think of one lesson your struggles have taught you. Thank the people who stood by you. The more you practice gratitude, the more beauty you'll find. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because your eyes learn to see perfection in the imperfection. Gratitude doesn't just change how you feel. It changes who you become. It softens your heart, strengthens your spirit, and deepens your appreciation for the life you already have. And when you live from that place of gratitude, every single day becomes a little lighter, a little brighter, and a lot more meaningful.